Rob Lehocky, along with Phil Savage, the executive director of the Reese Senior Bowl, putting a wrap on Senior Bowl practices. And Phil, we took a day out of the week, took a practice out of the schedule this week. So 6 practices in all, 3 for each team. How do you think that worked, first of all?
I think it's worked extremely well. From an NFL standpoint, they love the idea of traveling on Monday and then starting the practices with the weigh-in on Tuesday morning. And then from a player standpoint, 3 practices, condensed in nature, get in, get out, walk through on Friday, play Saturday. I think it's actually worked quite well.
So the game is on Saturday. We can kind of put a wrap on the whole practice. Who stood out? I know we have our player awards, our practice player awards. Why don't you rattle off on the offense who really stood out?
Yeah, Garrett Grayson is our quarterback of the week. David Johnson from Northern Iowa is our running back, most valuable running back, or had the best practices over the course of the 3 days. Skill-wise, wide receiver, Philip Dorsett from Miami, and then on the offensive line, Lakin Tomlinson, Duke University. Lakin came in and just had an extremely impressive group of 3 practices.
Coming in on the defensive side, Danny Shelton. He's a big boy, 343 pounds. He was great this week.
Yeah, defensively, Danny Shelton lived up to the hype. He performed, so he's our defensive lineman of the week. Linebacker-wise, Stephon Anthony from Clemson. He really flew around to the football. Defensive back-wise, Kevin White from TCU. Alabama fans have seen the ball launched all year and receivers not be covered. Kevin White covered these receivers like a blanket, tipped the ball away, never lost his composure, plays the ball extremely well when it's in the air. Tom Obarski, the kicker from Concordia, is our specialist of the week.
Concordia St. Paul, they like to tell you. There's 2 Concordias in Minnesota, so he wins that award. Overall, though, the practice player of the week.
Overall, I think the player that made the biggest jump in terms of announcing that, hey, take a look at me, Carl Davis, defensive lineman from the University of Iowa, 321 pounds, and he came in a bit under the radar, but in these 3 days of practice, he showed the ability not only to stack against the run, but to get through a gap and rush the passer from the inside. So if he can play on all 3 downs, first and second down, and then third down, be a situational or sub pass rusher, his value is going to go up, and I think now he has a legitimate shot to go in the first round.
Wow. Well, our practice player of the week last year, a kid named Aaron Donald out of Pitt, worked out pretty well for him. He was an All-Pro and a Pro Bowler in his first season with the St. Louis Rams.